Hello and welcome to another episode of Jane of All Trades. Today we are going to be running through how to make your own merchandise. Now this is actually quite specialist because there's actually, some would say, expensive tools that you would need. They don't have to be expensive. You can pick up second hand, you can pick up older models, you can get a discount or 0% interest on credit, but essentially to make your own merchandise it just takes more than just buying a t-shirt for a couple of pounds. So this one is maybe it's a wee bit more specialist, but I'm going to show you how you could create your own merch if you really wanted to do something different and you really wanted to have complete control over your merchandise. This is one way that you could do it, using minimal space, and it just kind of keeps the creative freedom up. So when you're starting off with merchandise, it's handy to have some kind of design, so that's what we're going to do first. We are going to design the merch. So here we are in Adobe Illustrator. I have chosen Illustrator because I know how to use it. So what we need to do is we need to create a new area, a new working area, but it's a specific size. And this is because we are going to be doing embroidered merch, so we're going to be using machine embroidery to create our merchandise. And when you're doing machine embroidery, it uses a frame, and all these frames come in different sizes and shapes, so they're just embroidery frames, but they have a specific area on them, a specific grid area. So if you want your design to be the right size when it comes out, then you would already have everything set to that size. Or you could end up creating quite an intricate design or colourful, and when you put it actually into the frame size, it ends up very, very teeny weeny. So that's what we're going to do first. So we are going to call this merch design. And we're going to change it to centimetres because that's what I measured it in. So the width is 12.5 by 9, so it's not the biggest of areas. That's because we're going to be using a Janome MC9000, which came out in like 1995, so we're already working with a 20-year-old machine, but I love the machine, so, but that's neither here nor there. So that's the area we've got to work with for our machine embroidery, and even though it's a small area, it's not tiny small, it's a reasonably sized area for doing like a side embroidery design, or you can do multiple designs. If you're wanting something over, you just move the frame over, re-embroider, line it up, move it over, line it up. So it's all doable. So there we go, we're going to create our area, and this is the area we've got to work with. So in the simplest form, you could just go and grab and then boof. There we go. Obviously that's too big, so what we're going to do is we're just going to grab a corner, hold shift. We hold shift down in Illustrator, it keeps the aspect ratio of the design, so we could do that. If we didn't want to keep the aspect ratio, we can pull, so we can make that really tall. It doesn't matter that it's blurry, by the way, it does not matter. So we can put that there. We could even put in our subscribe button if we wanted. And then we can, and again we'll just shift, and you can put the whole button in like that, or you can make the button slightly smaller like that. Yeah, so you can, I'm not digging it with the big subscribe button. I've actually not given a lot of thought as to what the design should look like. This is maybe a bit too long, so why don't we bring this up a bit and we'll get rid of this. and we can think of just a little something. I mean, we can underline it. We can add a box underneath like so, and then we can fill it like so, and do it that way. And then see, oh, Control Z is the most important thing you will ever learn in Adobe. It's the most important thing I ever learned. So you can have, there we go, let me just get it, there. Yeah, so you could just have it like that. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than that. Right? So I think we're going to roll with this for just now. Because it's simple, when it comes to machine embroidery, depending on the machine that you've got, as in how many big bucks you've put in, will really determine how complex your design is going to be and how good it's going to appear. You can do a complicated design, multicolours, and it'll actually come out really well. Some designs, not so much. But really with kind of wording and this should be okay. Maybe they'll be a wee bit concerned with the triangles because that is actually pretty small. So when it's stitching and it's embroidering it all together, when it's doing little spaces, it might not quite fit in right. Same with all these wee gaps. So we're just going to see how it comes out and how it renders in the actual program. So if we just go to File and we'll just save as, and we'll just go into my little embroidery folder, which is in here, and we're just going to save it as merch design. We'll just save it straight in there, and then we'll say OK, and then we'll see if we can export it as the correct file. Now, because we are using something that was 20 years ago, you have to be able to export in a bitmap to the Janome 9000. So that's what we are going to do. So we are going to choose Merch Design BMP so that it's already in a bitmap format when we export it into the Stitch editor. So let's go and we'll just make it, it doesn't really matter what we make it. So let's just click OK to everything. Let's just scatter to the wind. And that's us got a logo. So what we need now is we need to open Easy Import. So we're going to open that. This program couldn't be simpler. It was great to install it on Windows 10 because, like, I don't know if you remember 20 years ago the way that the installer came up and it had the kind of little drives, and then there was this kind of meter bridge thing, and then as it was loading installing it would bloop 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 bloop. Oh, it took me back. I get so nostalgic. That the first thing that this channel has done to me is make me super duper nostalgic. So we want to import our bitmap file, and then merch design, and then we just go open, and then poof, we have our design in our little thing. Right, so we need to do some tracing options. It's always kind of like an ifs button maybe, and we'll just, there is no colour, we're going to do this all in one colour. So, and then we're just going to outline. An outline will give us an idea of maybe how the machine's going to interpret how it's going to work. So that particular text had all these scuff marks on it, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It is just easier to do it if it's absolutely solid, because if there's breaks then it interprets it as certain as separate parts. So what we're going to do is we'll just take the line first, and then we just click on it, and then we go to create and we go to register. Yay! And then once you've registered something, you can jump straight in and you can choose the stitch. So that's a straight line. I could just have that as vertical as opposed to, so when the machine's embroidering, if it's doing a horizontal line using vertical stitches, it'll go up and down. If you've got the same line and you've left it linear, then it'll go and then it'll stop. It'll come all the way back, and then so it's and again, it can change the look. What stitch you use is going to change the look of your design and how it comes out. And each bit you can choose a different stitch. So I think we're going to go with vertical just to see how it turns out, because I'm super duper curious. You can also choose if you want it a different colour. I'm just going to keep it. I might change it just for reference. So we're going to make it purple. So we'll choose purple. And then we go. There we go. And then the next thing we have to do is kind of pull in all these. So what I normally do with text is I will separate the words. And I just do that for my own ease. It's kind of like every time it does a little section, the needle resets over where it's going to start, under the assumption that you're going to change the thread colour. So we're not going to be changing the thread colour, but sometimes I just like to take that opportunity to make sure everything's looked right. You can also do a bit of trimming. If you get too many loose threads, it can catch itself and it'll end up sewing the loose threads actually into itself, and it just becomes a bit of a pain, or they can be seen and you can't get them out, and then it can ruin the look. So you don't want all these things to happen. So I'm going to, see what I mean by it's kind of separated out. So that's J, N, E, right? And then we'll just go to create and we'll register that. There we go. And then we will do the same. I need to zoom in every time. So 90s. So what we're going to do is we can use some of that breakage. See, so we can like break off our off, but I'll probably just fill in the gaps. Let's just fill in the gaps and make life a little bit easier for ourselves. So now we've got off. And then we can go in, our L's are pretty broken, so we're going to go in, we'll fix that up, but not too much. I'll just leave it like that, and I'll do the same with this L, so we can keep some of that breakage, register, chain of all, and then the final word is going to be trades. We pop that out. The T is particularly broken, so we're just going to rebuild that. So in our final edit, we can make out that it's a T. We'll leave the R a bit broken. See, that's because there's no opening in the R. It's probably just going to close that right off, and it might make it a bit more difficult to read. So we're going to see in that, because the A is the same, so really we're just working with the outline of shapes. So this little things, that's kind of how it's going to look like, where there's no little holes in the A. These can all be fixed again. This doesn't, it's not the be all and end all. You can go in, you can go back to our original design, and we can create triangles. And we can create splits. So I'll maybe do that. I'll show you just like how we would do that. So create and register. So now we've got Jane of all trades, and it is just blocked, outlined. We've got a couple of our wee breaks in there, and it's all good. And then all we have to do is jump in and save as, and we're going to be saving that as Jane Merch. So we've got Jane Merch, and then it saves it as a .so. They do a different file now, I think, and like modern machines use .jefs, I think. I've never used a .jef. The only machine I've ever used is the one that I've got, which is 20-year-old, which my mummy bought, but I used it way more than her for embroidery, so this is my bag. So we're using it as a .so file, and then we just save, and then that is our embroidery saved. So I don't have the memory card in the reader right now, so what I'll do is when you're wanting to put it onto the reader, you click the reader button, and then you go down, and then you get that and then you go to add, and then write to card, and then that just writes the card, but the diskette has to be in. It's like a CF card that's like massive. It's like this big. Oh, I'm just kidding. It's actually about this big. But compared to a modern SD card, obviously it is ginormous. So that's what they used. So that's what it is. So I'll get that over onto the card later. But that's how you would do it if you have a Janome 9000. If you're lucky enough to have a Janome 9000. So what we're going to do is I'll just get rid of this. Right, bye bye. Right, so here we are back in our design. I'm just going to go to layers, I'm going to lock it, and that is because, like I had just said, we're going to we're going to separate, we're going to try and add bigger areas just to where these things would be. So I've just created a new layer. You do that by clicking the little plus sign. I've selected, I'm going to select my star tool, which draws a star. If you want less points, oh, it's the up and down arrow key, so it's like plus and minus. So you can create it, and then if you hold shift, it holds it upright for you. So there you go. So that's how you do that. And we'll be able to adjust the kind of height of it. And if we want to change colour to white, we can do that, and then we can pull it into our A, and then we can literally just create a bigger triangle. Obviously that doesn't really fit, so we'll do that. I'll just use my left and right keys just to centre it, and then we've got two A's, so you can just do that. I know on screen it doesn't look that great, but remember, you're not doing it for screen, you're doing it for embroidery, so you're deliberately kind of skewing it. It could still do with being a wee bit narrower, just because of the space. And there we go, so we just make that a wee bit narrower. That's slightly visually better. Same with if we wanted an ellipse tool, you can do the same, and then you can just like obviously that's a bit ridiculous, but you can change that. It's actually starting to change the font a bit. Like I say, it's just really a workaround if you're using something a bit obscure, that you could go in and just do this if you were embroidering, but if you wouldn't want to change the font too much. So there we go. So we've made our spaces slightly larger, and that would just be interpreted differently when you're working with the design. If you want to have a wee, I can export that as a bump, just so you can have a wee look, and we'll see how it goes. And then we'll go here, and then we'll go new, and we'll just do merch design too, and then we'll be able to see now the interpretation of that design is actually going to be better, you know. So like our A's got far more what's the word? I'm like definition. There we go. So we'll do that, and boop. So there you go. Our A is way more solid. You can see it better even in there. And then the O and the of. We'll go in and we'll just register this masterpiece of a deformed F. There we go. The of, way easier to read. It is just easier to read. Same with the A. Oops. If you have this program in a Janome 9000, if it's left click to highlight and right click to delight. Yeah, you just make that my own words now. So there you go, and then scan card, create, register, and trades. We'll do that one as well. Quickly, before everyone falls asleep. Doop. those wee bits. Huh. Right, trades. The R is way more defined. Get our wee broken A all together. The D, the E, and the S. And then create and register. And finally the bottom line again. And then create and register. What I forgot to show you the first time round actually was this little thing, so you can actually change the order, or you can change the colour and or the stitch that it's going to be in. So if I went to colour and stitch and then clicked on the Jane, you see that's vertical. I'm actually going to change that to diagonal. Because it might work better with all the breaks. So we'll try that. And then this one we'll do the same. And then this one with all the same. Just so that it's nice and solid and tight, and we're just going to keep this one the same. We're going to use that stitch. And then we go OK. See, it's even changed it, but it's changed it, it's made it a wee bit more fluffy looking. The stitches look a wee bit fluffier. So that's nice. So we're going to save that, and we'll save that as Jane Merch 2. And then what I'll do is I'll put them both on the card and then decide which one I prefer. I might go for the second one just because we've made a little bit of headway and we've created something that might actually be readable. So I'll get that on the card, and then we'll pick up at the Janome 9000. So here we are in front of the Janome 9000, ready to get our machine set up and do some embroidery for our merch. So I've already done a few little bits of setup, as in I've already got my Seriflock and the bobbin. I've already got the colour that I've chosen. I've gone for a kind of changeable green, so this will go from lime green to mid green to grass green, and I've just wound that onto a little bobbin on the top because that's the colour that we're going to go for. I've also got my poly cotton, which I just use a cheap poly cotton whenever I'm doing test pieces, and this is really just to see how it comes out, if I'm happy with the way that the stitches come out, or if it's too thick, if it's too thin. I can make these amendments before actually going onto a t-shirt. So the 9000 is, I was going to say a very simple machine to work with, but from the machine embroidery perspective I think it is. So when you're in the main menu, it's a touch screen. Yes, they had touch screens 20 years ago. It's absolutely a miracle. I just want to make sure I've got all my tools. There we go. Right, so the machine does a lot of setup on its own because you can just press a button and then it'll get itself all set up for machine embroidery. So if I do automatic embroidery, and what it does is it gives me 1 and 2, which is what's on the memory card, and the memory card just slots into the side of the machine here. If you have this machine or you're thinking of purchasing this machine, remember to never enter the card or eject the card while the machine is on. Never ever ever do that. It's bad. It's bad, it's very bad. I've never done it, so I don't actually know what happens. All I know is that under no circumstances do you eject the card while the machine is on. So that's what that goes. So we've already got our designs on the card. It's a CF card, it's huge, and we have a special Janome CF card reader that plugs into the PC, and that's how you get it. So if you're looking online for this machine second hand, I had a wee look just to give you all a wee heads up just in case you were interested. You're still looking about like £600 I've seen them for. Huge bit of advice though, if you're going to buy this machine because you want to have a little investment in making your own merch or doing your own embroidery, is if you're purchasing the machine, make sure that you get it with the card reader, a working card reader, and at least one memory card. I'm very lucky, I have two, so I'm probably quids in, because you just can't get them. You literally just can't get them. They don't make them anymore. Whoever's sold there has sold them on, and then people like me who absolutely love the machine, who now knows how excruciating it would be to get bits and pieces like that, it's just not going to happen. So yeah, so if you're buying one, make sure it has working card reader and working cards, otherwise you're really not going to be able to do the embroidery side of it. You're only going to be able to use it as a sewing machine. So as I said, we've got our little hoop here. Hoops are just basically what stabilises the fabric, so that it doesn't just jig about all over the place. The machine comes with a special little foot, the P foot, which is the embroidery foot. Again, this gives it a little bit of height and leeway because it needs to move around, and it does it so fast. It really battles on. So what we do is, we've already got our arm out because we've set it up correctly, and then we just push this underneath, and then this just clips into the little hole like a little wing nut. I can't actually see it. Here we go. And your embroidery design space is 12.5 by 9. So I would say that was a relatively generous space, but it's not huge. So it's like when we're doing a t-shirt, it'll be a bit offset. You know, the design would sit on your shoulder. And if you were doing something smaller, like any item that's smaller, because obviously if you can embroider on it, you can now add it to your merch line. So for smaller pieces or whatever, you can do repetitive designs. If you get a specific logo and you wanted to make a cushion cover, you could also do that. So we're going to go in, and we're going to choose our design, and what we're going to do, I'm just going to, it's come up in 5 sections on the screen because we made it 5 sections on the computer. So we've got chain of all trades, that's 4, and then the line, which is 1. So I'm just going to take up my little piece of thread here, and I'm going to go down, and then really the machine is ready to rock and roll. So we just hit start and see what happens. So now we're on our way. I'm just going to keep this tail thread out of the way for just now because you don't want it getting in the way. I don't want it embroidering into the design. So while that is going, Right, and here we go. So now we're on to... So this is where if you wanted to make it umpteen different colours, you could sectionalise it, and then, because the machine's essentially saying, now's the time to change the colour. I personally use this time for a little bit of tidying up because I don't like everything to be all mixed in together. So I'm going to pull a wee bit of my green through it, like so. Give that a wee choppy chop, and then pull this over, and then give that a wee choppy chop, and now my thread can go away in the bin bin. And we're ready now to embroider the off. So we just do the same process and start, and now it's going to just churn out part 2. And again, you could be sitting here just drinking a cup of tea. You know I'm British, we like tea warm, none of that iced tea. I hate cold tea. It's just wrong on so many levels. Or you can have a can of Red Bull, I think they have that everywhere. Again, it has to be fresh out of the fridge, none of this warm Red Bull nonsense. But yeah, you could be churning out merchandise while updating your Twitter or your Facebook or your YouTube or whatever it is you do that you want to make merch for. Just get that out there. So because I mean you just have to come back to make sure that it hasn't snagged. I tend not to leave the machine unattended. At the end of the day, it's a machine. It's potentially dangerous. Remember to keep all digits away. You know, don't be all poking at the needle or trying to change the needle while it's... The same goes for any kind of, like if you are looking at sewing in general because you want to make your own items. If you've got that little, you know, your foot, you're basically your accelerator pedal, just be in a really good habit of when you're actually not sewing, your foot is nowhere near that pedal. Because the last thing you want to be doing is changing a thread and then pushing that foot down, because it will just go. I mean, I don't think there's any fail safe, and you could end up just back stitching your finger, which really gives me the heaves. Right, so we're on to the awl now, and start. So that there's no friction, because if your machine gets into that place where the thread catches, what happens is that like the needle is quite thin, so it's going to buckle your needle to the left and it's going to slam down, and everything's quite neat under there, you know, where your bobbin is, your bobbin tray, everything is very close together so that the machine works. So the last thing you want is a bent needle hammering down into any of that, because it could literally like be gouging out the metal, and you'll end up with a damaged needle, and you don't want all that jazz. So to avoid anything like that, just make sure you've covered all your bases before you even go in. Don't just assume everything's going to be okay. If it doesn't look okay, even if you're threading the machine and you're following the numbers, and at any point your thread snags or gets caught, I'm just like, I'm not using that. I'm gonna use a bobbin instead. I'm just gonna wind the bobbin. Wind your bobbin up. That's actually a nursery rhyme. I don't even know it. I know it's a nursery rhyme, I just don't know the words to the nursery rhyme. So now we're on to Jane of All. Beautifully separated, and we've just, and again that's another wee tail away. So this is up to trades. Now so you can see how quick this is as well. So if you were embroidering on a t-shirt, I would say that the time scale for the t-shirt, once you're all done and trimmed down, it's basically ready just to be ironed and packaged. The other good thing about making your own merch is if you order printed t-shirts, they might say, well, if you order 100, then each t-shirt will come out at X amount lower, so that would increase your overall profit margin. There's two downsides to that. One, you've got to buy 100 t-shirts. Are you even popular enough to sell 100 t-shirts? And the second thing that you consider is, where are you going to put all those t-shirts? I think I've already said that I don't have a big house. I don't have a big house because I'm recording my horror movie here, and I don't have space to store anything. So doing it this way, I could just make to order. So if nobody ever orders anything, I'm not going to miss out on anything because I'm not really holding stock, and I've not really spent any money because this is all stuff that I already had. But you can still do stuff with a sewing machine. It's not just a case of I'm not getting any merch, I can't do anything anymore. Excuse me. So that's maybe another upside. As well as having a wee bit more scope and variety, you can, like, just out of any fabric, if you find a fabric that you absolutely love, it's very easy to make little pencil cases with zips. Like, that's such an easy thing to do. Or you can make string pull bags. That's also very easy because that's like a rectangle of fabric, and then you fold over and then you sew, and then you put the stringing through, and then you can have your own branded gym bag. What else you can do? You can do cushion covers, you can do quilting. Depends on like what kind of merch you're really wanting to go for. If you're wanting a huge variety of merch, or if you're just wanting to stick to, you can just offer up t-shirts in every size and every colour, and then when the order comes in, that's just what you go down and get, or you just order that and get them in as soon as you can so that you can get it made in a way for your customer. So this is still churning away, looking good. I actually quite like the green, it's like a green with a yellow in it, so that's pretty awesome. Still working away. And all the breaking and the divots has kind of stayed true to the original logo, which is kind of rough. And a kind of slap dash. The D looks okay despite not having the traditional hole. The R could do with some spacing because it doesn't really look like an R. So that's something that, because I've done a test now and I can see that, I can now see how it's going to be, and you know, so I like the J is coming nice, the all, I'm really happy with those. The R not so much, I would definitely fix the R, and I would maybe put a hole in the D. We're just about to see how the S is going to turn out. The S actually looks fine. I was dubious about the S. Maybe need to put another top side hole on the S. But that's really the only thing I would change. Even if that, because it actually doesn't look that bad. I think you can still kind of tell it's an S. Not too intricate. And remember the other thing, like if you've got like Jane of all trades and you've got your logo or whatever, there's still a lot of height left in the hoop, so you can consider you could do a subscribe button or a like thumb if you're wanting to directly link it to a YouTube or Facebook. You've got those options, or you can just get, if you've got a specialist subject, you can just get a vector picture. So if you work with wood, then a vector hammer or something like that, and there's loads of space to be putting that on the top of the design, so you'll be able to build your design up and make it slightly bigger. So let's get this line done, because the line is the final section. And this is the one where we change the stitch, and as you can see the machine is just going to go up and down all the way along. If we had done that in a horizontal left to right stitch, the machine would be now pushing the hoop from left to right to build the same width of line, so it would be like that way. But we just thought we would try something different and see how it came out. And there we have it. The machine even beeps to let us know that it is now finished. So let's get our little presser foot up and we can do some little trims. I don't know what to do. Like, these scissors are like little scissors and they're just kind of bent at the end. So when you're going in snipping, you've just got like a little kind of duck's beak to snip with. They're just the best scissors ever. They are absolutely amazing. So there we go, snippety snippety snap. And we can take the hoop off the machine so that we can get a really good look. So we'll just tip that up and over, and then we'll cut the surf lock that's on the bottom, and we'll just have a wee look at that. And I think that has come out really, really good. I don't think you'll be able to see it because it's so dark in here. So what we'll do is we'll get some super duper close-up shots for the end of the video. And I'll just get that trimmed down, so we just go in. You just can't see that at all because it's just too dark. So I'm going to go in and have a look at this and get it all trimmed off, and then you'll be able to see it in all its glory. And here we have it all out of the frame and ready for inspection. And yeah, I think with the little fix of the R and the D, we can put a little top hole in the S. I think that would be absolutely perfect to go on a variety of things, starting with t-shirts or whatever. Yeah, so that is how you would make your own merchandise using a Janome 9000 and keeping it on budget. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and maybe you'll run out and buy one of these bad boys. Yeah, woohoo! Like the badge is missing. Like, see this little guy? Like, just see you're still there, but you feel free to like and subscribe and stuff. But I want to show you this little guy first, because this little guy, I just won't focus. Oh, there we go. Right, so this little guy, I drew him like 20 years ago. So he's like a fountain pen on like kind of absorbent paper. So I just drew him quickly. I thought, oh, look, and I went, Mum, I've drawn a little alien. And she's like, that's very nice, dear. And I'd cut him out and stuff, and she just popped him in here under the symbol reference of the machine, and that's where he has been for 20 years. So yay, little alien guy, that he survived this long. And again, it's just like, I get so nostalgic, like, oh my goodness, I absolutely do. Oh, and there's my bobbin thread colour, there's my screen, there's the needle and the bobbin and stuff like that. So yeah, so feel free to like, feel free to subscribe, and we'll catch you later for some more Jane of all trades. Goodbye!